Hey guys, so I know I've been gone for a little while, but it was actually all related to work. So now I'm back, and I'm going to talk to you a bit about some books that I've acquired over my little adventure I was on. So in a previous video, I talked about a couple books I had. At that time, I had roughly four. It wasn't very many, but you know what? They did help me with what I needed at the time. So they were Scott Cunningham, Crystal and Gems. They are amazing. This one's amazing for if you want to know the basics about stones and learn about them. It also has pictures of the stones, gems, crystals, so you can understand what they look like. And you can look out, or not look out for them, but keep your eye open and know when you see it, oh, hey, that's a rose quartz, or that's a topaz, or whatever. So this one was talked about already, but still highly recommended. Another Scott Cunningham one, because you can never have too many Scott Cunningham books. Wicca, a guide for solitary practitioner. Now, if you're trying to figure out religion, so Wicca, this book was very useful because it helped you understand where to start and how to expand. Same with the other two books I have here, Wicca for Beginners, and the only book of Wicca spells you'll ever need. Now, these books are useful, and they start from the basics and help you work up to further spells or the more challenging spells that you have at the end of the books. Still highly recommended. Now, while I was on kind of my little adventure with work, I managed to acquire many more books, and as always, the library grows. So I'm going to share them with you just so you can kind of, if you need help knowing what books are very useful, because I know some books are very useful, they help you a lot, but I know other ones are not as helpful. So we're going to start with this one. So this one's Myths, Tales of the Greek and Roman Gods. Now, it wasn't what I was looking for when I got it, which is okay. Basically, I was looking for a book of Greek gods that had their tales and their stories and all about them. Like, I wanted a very detailed Greek mythology book. But this talks about the Roman gods and their stories, and then they say, oh, but this is this god in Greek. So it wasn't what I was looking for, but that's okay. It was still it's a handy book to have in case I want to look up anything about Roman gods, or I could even use it for Greek. It's just harder for me to understand it, which is okay. You learn, right? So my next one I just got, and I'm very excited about it because it's called Wikipedia. It has everything, all the basics to help you. If you need a quick referral, like Wikipedia, like the website, it's a good quick referral if you need to quickly look something up. And it's nifty because it's nice and small. You can throw it in your purse if you want, because I have room in my purse for this book. It's a big purse. So, people want to understand dreams and psychology even, or understand symbols in people's subconscious, or maybe even your subconscious, or if you astral project, or if you have past lives, you're trying to understand things like that. This book, I have like a alfalfa going on there. The Dream Dictionary from A to Z. I highly recommend all my books because I did a lot of research before I purchased any of my books to know I have the proper books I'm looking for, except the Myth. The one time I did a spontaneous buy, it was with that and it didn't turn out. So this has everything from religion to apples to animals to pregnancies, mourning, moths, just everything. And I highly suggest it if that's the kind of things you're into. If that's what you're interested in, Dream Dictionary A to Z by Teresa Chung, I don't know if I said that right, is a good book to have. Now, I'm sorry this video is going to be kind of long because I still have other books. And I want to do a little talk afterwards just so you guys kind of... Just because I want to talk for a little bit. Because I can. Encyclopedia of Natural Magic. So it has everything from animals to plants. It has descriptions, what spells you can use them in. And even talks about how plants and animals and different natural things affect magic and how they work in your magic. So they talk about astrology, the lore behind the plant, even parts that you use with the plant, because sometimes you don't use the whole plant, you'll just use just the petal or just the stem or just the pollen. It's all different, right? So it talks about all of that, how to properly use it, what kind of spells to use it in. It's amazing. Now, another Scott Cunningham book, because that's just who I love, apparently. Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. Now, what I really like about this one is you can turn to any page, you'll find the plant. It'll have a picture of it. It'll also have the gender, because as we know, not all plants are male, or not all plants are female, and not all plants are male. Some are male, some are female. Talks about the element they're associated with, the planet, the deities, the power, and the magical uses. Very, very useful book if you are into herbs and plants and things. I recommend this one. That's what I use mainly. I love my herbs and my plants and all that, so that book has been very good for me. Now, when I was first figuring out the witchcraft way, the witchy way, the wicca way, whatever, I had a hard time understanding the witch calendar. So the Sabbats is very difficult for me to understand what they were, why they were celebrated, what they symbolized, and what the kind of symbols of them were. It was very difficult because I was figuring it out on my own. So trying to figure out why we celebrate Samhain, trying to figure out why we celebrate Ostara, just everything. It was very difficult for me to understand, and I'm still learning today, which is okay. It's important to always, with this craft, you will always be learning. From the day you start to the day you die, or pass on to the next realm, you are always learning. Even after you pass on to the next realm, you're still learning. And that's okay. So I got this book, Sabbats, and what I adore about it is it even has recipes that you can have for that holiday or for that event. It talks about the history, why we celebrate it, what it means, and the dates, and even different cultures that celebrate it in different ways. So how the Irish, the Celtics, when they have Samhain, they use gourds instead of pumpkins. Americans, North America, we use pumpkins. So that was very interesting to me, I found. So, another Scott Cunningham book. Oh, this one is by Adaine McCoy. Good book to have. Another Scott Cunningham book. Book of Shadows. So this book you will use as your own Book of Shadows, or you can use as an addition onto your Book of Shadows. It is a Book of Shadows for you. That's how he wrote it, that's how he made it, and that's how it was meant to be. Now, I use it alongside my Book of Shadows. Kind of, I'll refer to it and look at rituals, or I'll look at little notes he has in there just to see, compare it to my notes kind of thing. So, very, very, very good book to have. Talks about different spells, different things you can use. Good book. I highly recommend, and I know I've probably said this already a billion times, highly recommend Scott Cunningham books, because he did a lot of development and research and He's very wise in this path. So if you want a lot of advice, Scott Cunningham is a very good book to have. Speaking of Book of Shadows, Grimoire of the Green Witch. You don't have to be a green witch to get this book. You can be any kind of witch you want. Has everything from rituals to signs of daily influences, color correspondence, everything, Esbat rituals, like you name it, it's in this book as well. This actually I got before the Book of Shadows, or the Scott Cunningham one. I refer to this one a lot more than I do the Scott Cunningham one, but I still use that Scott Cunningham book. I'm a book nerd, as you can tell. Now, these books I'm about to show you, I just got. A friend of mine who's a witch, she reads these books and she swears by them. I read a bit of one when I was at her place and I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. So, there's only one I just started reading, but they come highly recommended, and they help you understand the craft from the complete basic, from the from the very, very beginning. Understand what the word witch means, where it originates, where it carries out from, even the history, and then it carries on to the circles and rituals, shamanic practices. So I'm going to start with this one, The Witch's Shield. So it's protecting yourself against negative energies, against just psychic self-defense. I haven't read this one. This is the one I started. But it really helps you understand how to protect yourself, how to keep yourself out of harm's way or negative energy, and how to prevent other psychic attacks. So, good book to have. It also comes with a CD. I don't know what the CD does, but I think it's a meditation guide, which is good. This is the one I started reading. So this one starts from the very basics of what is witchcraft? What is a witch? How do I build up to it? And it's called The Inner Temple of Witchcraft, Magic, Meditation, and Psychic Development. So it helps you work up to doing Outer Temple Witchcraft. So circle spells and rituals, starting from the very basics of circles and spells. Very, very basics. Why do we do it? How are we doing it? Why is everything we put into a spell or into a ritual so important? That's what this one is for. And my last but not least, Shamanic, I'm pretty sure I'm not saying that, Temple of Shamanic Witchcraft, Shadow Spirits and Healing Journey. So just talks about the basics of that. Journeying, dream work, totems, drumming, animal, plants, stone medicine, soul retrieval, psychic surgery, shape shifting, and shadow work. Talks about all that in this book. So these books, if you're trying to get started into witchcraft or Wicca, these books are a good start. I highly recommend them to start there. When I first started accepting witchcraft and all that into my life, I grew up in a Christian home and I was still going to church for my family, so they were happy. So to have these books to kind of help me know that I'm not the only one out there that's dealing with this, to know that there are resources out there that can help me. It was a great help and it was amazing. So if you have any questions about these kind of books, you guys can message me anytime. If I figure out how to use the the computer properly or use YouTube properly, I will message you guys back right away with what I can. And if I can't answer, then I'm sure I can liaison it, move it up to other witches that are on YouTube and ask their opinions, or talk to witches that I know. Now, I want to talk a bit about the difference between witchcraft and Wicca, or being Wiccan and being a witch. So, being a witch is part of who you are. So, some people are natural, some people it's hereditary, some people work on it. I'm a natural witch. I've always been doing witchcraft. I've always been talking to spirits. I've always seen spirits. I'm seeing them less because I wasn't practicing for so long because of work. But, which was a huge mistake because I wasn't able to do what I loved, which was hard for me. But when you're a witch, it's part of who you are. It's like you have brown eyes. That's how you're born. That's who you are. You have brown eyes. Things like that. Wicca is a religion. So you can be a Christian and you can be a witch. There's many Christians who are witches, or many witches who are Christian. Just because you're Wicca does not mean a witch, and just because you're a witch does not mean you're Wiccan. So it's different terminology, and I just want everyone to understand that there is a difference between Wicca and witchcraft. Now, this video has been going on way too long. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day.